if we had met a little later, maybe things would have unfolded differently. Maybe we would have known ourselves better. Maybe fear would not have spoken so loudly. Back then we were still carrying old heartbreaks, still learning how to trust what felt good, still mistaking self-protection for wisdom and distance for something that kept us safe. But even through all that uncertainty, there was something honest living between us, something neither of us knew how to keep, but both of us felt deeply. Sometimes love arrives before people are ready to receive it fully. I think we loved each other at the wrong chapter, not the wrong person, not the wrong feeling, just the wrong moment in our lives. Because when I remember you now, what hurts is not what we were, it's everything we might have become if timing had been a little kinder to us. I remember the softness that existed between us, the way ordinary evenings became something meaningful, how naturally your laughter fit into my days like it had always belonged there somehow. And even when things started becoming difficult, I could still feel the love underneath it all, hidden beneath exhaustion, confusion, and silence, trying its best to survive. But life has a way of asking too much sometimes, and we were already carrying enough weight without realizing how fragile happiness can become when two tired hearts are trying to hold it together. No villain, no betrayal, just timing moving faster than we could. I think we loved each other at the wrong chapter, when healing was still unfinished, when fear still had too much influence over the choices we made. And maybe that's why I still think about you, not because I'm unable to move on, but because part of me still believes there was something beautiful we never got the chance to finish. I used to believe that if love was real enough, it would survive anything. But now I understand something harder. Love matters, but timing matters too. And sometimes two people can be perfect for each other, while life remains completely imperfect around them. That is the tragedy nobody talks about enough. So now I carry you differently, not as a wound, not as a regret, but as a question I will probably always wonder about. What if we had met after the healing, after the fear, after the versions of ourselves that were still learning how to stay? Maybe nothing changes, or maybe everything does. Right, love? Wrong chapter, and somehow that still breaks my heart. It's funny how some people become a habit without you ever noticing it happen. One day they're just another part of your life, and the next they're woven into everything. You were the last person I wanted to talk to at night, the first person I looked for in the morning. Not because I needed constant attention, but because your presence made the day feel complete. I never planned on needing anyone that much. In fact, I spent years trying not to, but somehow you slid past every wall I built and made loneliness feel unnecessary for a while. just your name slowly becoming home inside my mind. You were the last person I wanted to talk to before sleep carried me away. The last voice that made the darkness softer, the last thought I wanted to keep before the day would end. And now some nights feel unfinished somehow, like a sentence missing its final word, because part of me still reaches for your presence without realizing you're no longer there. I remember those conversations after midnight, when neither of us wanted to say goodbye first, so we keep finding new things to talk about, just to steal a few extra minutes together. Looking back, those moments seem so small, the kind most people would forget completely, but somehow they became the foundation of some of the happiest memories I have. You knew things about me nobody else noticed, the fears hidden underneath confidence, the sadness buried inside jokes, the parts of myself I rarely trusted anyone with. Being understood that deeply changes the way your heart works afterward. You were the last person I wanted to talk to, because somehow you made everything lighter. The good days felt brighter when I shared them, the difficult days felt survivable when you listened. And maybe that's why I still miss you quietly, not in dramatic ways anymore, just in all the ordinary moments where your voice used to live. I think real love is often invisible while it's happening, not because it isn't important, but because it becomes normal. You get used to someone being there until one day they aren't, and suddenly you understand how much of your life was built around their existence. So now the nights arrive differently, a little quieter than they used to be. And though I've learned how to live without you, I still notice the space you left behind sometimes, because you were the last person I wanted to talk to. And maybe a small part of me always will, not enough to stop moving forward, just enough to remember you gently. Some voices leave, but never completely fade. Yours still echoes softly at the end of certain nights. I think heartbreak would be easier to understand if you had vanished into another lifetime. If oceans separated us completely, or fate had written something clearer than this. But you're still awake beneath the same sky, still walk through mornings and ordinary days, still hear songs, drink coffee, make plans, while somehow existing outside my life completely. And that's the part my heart struggles with, not losing you to distance or time, but knowing you are still here somewhere, just no longer here with me. You didn't disappear from the world, only from mine. And the hardest part is that you're still alive, still laughing somewhere I cannot hear it, still becoming someone new each day, without me there to witness it. Because losing you wasn't losing a memory, it was losing access to a living story, one that keeps moving forward without me, no matter how much I wish otherwise. Sometimes I wonder what your days look like now. Who hears about your victories first? Who knows when you're tired? Who gets the version of you I used to love? And honestly, I try not to ask myself those questions, because they never lead anywhere kind. They only remind me that life continued for both of us, just not together. I think that's why closure feels so complicated. There's no final page to turn, no ending scene to replay one last time. Just two people continuing separately beneath the same sky. No goodbye big enough for a loss that keeps evolving. And the hardest part is that you're still alive, close enough to imagine, far enough to lose. A real person living a real life that no longer includes me in it. And some days I accept that gracefully, some days it feels almost peaceful, and other days it breaks my heart all over again in ways I thought I'd already survived. I used to believe missing someone was wanting them back, but maybe sometimes missing someone is simply struggling with the fact that the world keeps receiving new versions of them, while you only have the old ones left in memory. And that is a loneliness few people ever talk about honestly. So now I carry you differently, not as a hope, not as a future, but as a person who mattered deeply once. And even if I never hear your voice again, never learn how your story unfolds from here, part of me will always pause sometimes and wonder how you're doing. Because the hardest part was never that you left, it was learning how to live, knowing you're still out there somewhere, still alive, still growing, still becoming, just not beside me anymore. There are nights when the city goes quiet, and my thoughts finally have room to wander back through old conversations and familiar memories, to places I tell myself I've already left behind. I don't do it on purpose anymore, the way I used to in the beginning. Now it happens softly, unexpectedly, like hearing your name inside a distant song. And somewhere between remembering and letting go, a question always seems to find me, one I never ask out loud, because I already know there's no answer coming. But some questions stay alive, even when the relationship doesn't. I wonder if you ever miss me too, in the small ordinary ways that matter most. When something funny happens during your day, or when a song reminds you of a different version of yourself. Do you ever think of those late night conversations, the dreams we carried so carelessly back then? Or have the years already softened everything into something easier to forget? I'm not asking because I expect anything, not because I'm waiting for you to come back. I think I finally learned the difference between love and hope. It's just strange Sharing so much life with someone, but never knowing how they remember it afterward. Whether they revisit the same memories sometimes, or if they've become strangers even to themselves. Because for me, certain moments still feel vivid, not painful in the way they once did, just preserved somehow, like photographs tucked safely inside a drawer. Time changed the sadness, but it never erased the meaning. I wonder if you ever miss me too. Not enough to rewrite the ending, just enough to pause for a moment and smile at what we were. Because I do that sometimes in quiet places on ordinary days, and it feels less like heartbreak now and more like gratitude wearing the shape of longing. Maybe the truth doesn't matter anymore. Maybe whether you miss me or not changes nothing about the life we live today. But hearts are curious things, they keep searching for traces of significance long after the story has already ended. And sometimes I think what I'm really asking is this: did we matter to you the way you mattered to me? I wonder if you ever miss me too, when the world slows down enough to remember, when old songs play unexpectedly, or familiar streets bring back forgotten years. And maybe I'll never know the answer. Maybe that's simply part of moving forward, learning how to carry unanswered questions without letting them become regrets. Still, I wonder sometimes, not because I need you back, just because once you meant everything to me. When we were together, I never questioned it. I never stopped to wonder how fragile things could be. You were simply part of every future picture, like the sky above a city, always there quietly. I imagine years without even trying, gray hair, slower mornings, familiar routines. Not because we talked about forever every day, but because your presence felt permanent to me. And now I look back at those assumptions, at all the certainty I carried in my heart, and it amazes me how easily we trust tomorrow, without knowing how quickly it can fall apart. I never planned for a life without you. That was the problem. I thought you'd be there when I got older, somewhere inside all the years ahead. In every version of my future, your name existed naturally there. And now the years keep moving forward, but they don't look the way I thought they would. Because part of growing older now means carrying the absence of you. I still catch myself imagining things, then remembering halfway through that you're gone. A song I would have sent you, a story I would have told you, and for a second time folds in on itself, like nothing ever changed between us, before reality arrives quietly again and reminds me where life actually went. It's strange how love rewrites the future even after the person disappears, because some dreams survive much longer than the relationships that created them. No bitterness, just sadness for the life I once believed in. I thought you'd be there when I got older, laughing at things we've already laughed about before, growing into people we couldn't imagine yet, while still somehow remaining us. But now those years belong to someone else, a future rewritten without asking me first. And I think that's what heartbreak really is sometimes, watching a dream outlive its place in reality. Maybe everyone has one person like this, someone who quietly moves into their vision of tomorrow, without permission, without effort, without either person noticing it happening. And when they leave, the future doesn't disappear, it just becomes unfamiliar. So now I walk toward years I never planned for, trying to make peace with how different they became, learning that acceptance and missing someone can somehow exist together. And even if life eventually becomes beautiful again in ways I can't yet see from here, part of me will always remember the future, where you were still standing beside me. I thought you'd be there when I got older, and some days I still do. I don't only miss the way you laughed, or the sound of your voice on quiet nights. I miss the life that existed ahead of us, the one we built in conversations and small dreams. The apartment we never found, the trips we never took, the Sunday mornings that stayed imaginary, the years we thought were waiting just beyond the horizon. Back then, the future felt so certain, like something already beginning to take shape. And I never imagined it could disappear without ever getting the chance to exist. Sometimes heartbreak is not losing the past, sometimes it's losing tomorrow. And I miss the future we never had, the ordinary life we almost touched, the version of us that kept growing older, without ever learning how our story ends. Because somewhere in my heart, those memories still exist as possibilities. And every now and then I catch myself mourning things that never happened. I remember how naturally we planned ahead, talking about places we wanted to see together, laughing about things we would probably argue over years before those moments were ever supposed to arrive. Maybe that sounds foolish now, missing something that was never real. But the feelings were real, the hope was real, the love behind those dreams was real too. I think that's what makes it hurt so deeply. Not what we lost, but what we almost became. No photographs, no memories, just futures that never got the chance to happen. I miss the future we never had, the life waiting quietly inside our plans, the routines we never built, the stories we never got to tell. And now those dreams belong only to imagination, like houses standing empty inside my mind, beautiful enough to revisit sometimes, painful enough that I can never stay there long. I used to believe grief belonged to memories, to things people actually experience together. But now I know grief can belong to possibilities too, to lives that almost happened, to love that almost lasted, to chapters that ended before they could be written fully. And somehow those losses feel real as anything else. So yes, I still miss you sometimes, but lately I miss something larger than that. I miss the future that once felt certain, the quiet life I imagined beside you, the years we never reached, the memories we never made. And maybe that sadness will always stay with me, not loudly, just softly enough to remind me how much I once hoped for us. I lost you, but I also lost everything we never got to become.